of the things that strikes me about this place is how incredibly peaceful it really is. Sad and peaceful at the same time. Yesterday I took you on a rare visit to Hart Island, New York City's Potter's Field, where 1 million people have been buried since the 1860s, 1,000 a year even today. Most of these people are people who had no private burial arrangements. Maybe they were too poor, maybe they had no family. A lot of people who just simply fell through the cracks in the system. Today I'm going to talk about the controversy surrounding Hart Island, primarily over whether this highly secret place that has been held under lock and key should be more open to the public. Primarily for people whose relatives are buried there, but also maybe for you and I. And unlike most cemeteries, there's not a lot of offerings, not a lot of flowers left on the graves. Obviously, this is the first one we've seen in the whole tour today. Under the city charter, Hart Island is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Correction. It is run like a prison, only with fewer visitors. When you visit, you turn over your cell phone, you sign a waiver, you stay with a guard. And that's relatively open compared to the past. For much of the island's history, even people whose loved ones were buried there could only go far as this gazebo, just steps from the ferry dock. Elaine Joseph was one of 7 mothers who sued the city for the right to visit the graves of their children. In 2014, she became one of the first people to do so.
That was another thing that made me terribly uncomfortable. I'm standing there grieving at the graveside of my baby, just trying to connect, and a correction officer standing nearby with his hand on his gun. It's not what you want to do when you go to visit the grave of a loved one. It's not comfortable.
Advocates kept pressing, and now under a settlement with the city, they run 1 trip a month. But what Hart Island activists really want is for the place not to be a prison any longer, but a park. In 2014, Queens City Councilwoman Elizabeth Crowley proposed a bill that the island be turned over to the city Parks Department instead of the Department of Corrections. But Parks Department officials have testified they don't want the job. I asked the Department of Corrections Director of Legislative Affairs, Carleen McLaughlin, why the DOC even wants this job. Why not just acquiesce and get rid of this responsibility?
DOC, while certainly it's not our primary function, we do have the expertise now to perform these functions because we've been doing it for 100+ years. The Parks Department doesn't have the expertise. They don't manage active cemeteries. And so, yes, it's not the primary function of the department, but it's certainly something that we're happy to continue doing.
Melissa Hunt, who heads the Hart Island Project, says this is the completely wrong approach.
The most important thing is that you have to sort of remove the penal system from the equation. Essentially, a cemetery is a place where people gather, and that's not really permitted.
So here's what my visit to Hart Island did for me. It's a pretty profound, heavy experience. It made me think about people that I know who are alone right now, who are still alive. And it made me think that maybe there's something that I should do for them now while they're still alive. And if that's what Hart Island did for me, then maybe more people should be able to go out there and have that experience. I mean, in some small, imperceptible way, don't we all play a role in how people eventually end up here? Maybe shouldn't this place be opened up for more of us to come here, if only to give us another chance to face up to that?
Essentially, Hart Island is a place where people disappear.